everybody. Welcome back to Parental Vision Podcast. I'm your host, Tiana, and today's guest is Wisdom Otero. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody.
She's here to share her journey of parenting. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear all about it. Oh my goodness.
What do
So,
you want to know?
so tell me first, let's start off with how many children do you have?
I have three.
Really? What
Yeah.
boy, girl?
My daughter's the oldest. She's 24. And then I have two boys that are 20, and my youngest is 16.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank
So
you.
tell me about the journey of parenting, like all the way dated back to, you can start from your childhood to when you had your first kid, whichever you choose to start with.
Um, well, I had my first child young. I had her at 17.
Mm.
Um, and then had my second kid 5 years later, and then my third 3 years later.
Oh wow. And I can imagine at such a young age was not planned at
No,
all.
no.
Oh my goodness. I bet. Oh my God.
No, it
So
wasn't.
so tell me like what were your like first initial thoughts when you even like found out you were pregnant? Like, you know.
So like I said, I became a mother very young.
Mhm.
I didn't tell my mom. I told her best friend so she can tell my mom because, of course,
Okay.
um, the era I grew up in. I'm an '80s baby. My mom, she's in her '70s, so it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, she. It was. I think it was more embarrassing for my mother more than
Mm.
anything. So, as a child and the way that I grew up is like, her feelings came first.
Right.
And then I think me having children at such a young age, I did it more for because my father left when I was young. I'll be honest,
Mhm.
and I think just trying to find that, I don't know if it's that love or that connection that you're missing.
Yeah.
So I thought a kid would give it to me, and
Mhm.
it doesn't work that way.
Right,
I'll
right.
tell everybody it does not work that way. And then I had my other two boys, and being a mother has always been hard from the beginning of the journey.
I imagine.
And then I ended up going to jail in 2010. Um, so I was away from my kids for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and my sister, thank God for her, she stepped in and she took my children while I was incarcerated.
Mm.
And then coming home, just the transition wasn't easy at all. So my kids mainly were with my sister,
Mm.
like growing up, just because, me going to jail and then, halfway houses. And I was on special parole for a while.
Oh wow.
It was always that thought of anything that I did wrong, I can go back. So instead of, I could have took my kids immediately after getting out of the halfway house. But
Mhm.
to me, I put my kids first as far as it would have been selfish on my part for
Yeah.
taking them, uprooting them out of what their normal was and what they knew because I was away.
Right.
And so, but letting that happen, it didn't work out,
Mhm.
just
I
more,
understand.
yeah, because it's, you're trying to be a parent, to children that were raised by somebody else.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah.
And, it's like what the way they were raised is not how I would raise my children.
So it's like you had to reprogram them all over again.
Not even reprogramming. It's
Mhm.
just like, I just feel like if your kids are raised, to, if they're constantly getting yelled at or, and
Mhm.
there's, discipline
Yeah.
and all this. And it's like, you want to do right by your kids,
Mhm.
but when you weren't there for so long, it's hard.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
don't want to step on with the person that stopped their life to do something that they did not have to do because my kids could have been in the system,
Exactly.
so I'm thankful for that. But I do have my youngest,
Mhm.
and again, it's hard,
Yeah.
because like I am a certain way and my sister wasn't. So it's like, I'm trying to get my kids, there's certain things that are okay. You don't have to
Mhm.
be this way,
Mhm.
but it's trying, and it's
Right.
something that's going to continue. But,
What's the trajectory of your parenting style? Like, how are you exactly? Like, dive more into that.
well, my thing is, and I'm this way now because I went to counseling
Okay.
and because I was just like how my sister was.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was that way. You know, I come from a family of yellers and you
Me
getting
too.
hit and,
Me too.
so it's like, and as an adult now I have choices. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to raise my children the way that I was raised. I don't
Right.
have to speak to them the way that I was spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm very big on communicating with them.
Yes.
I feel, especially with my youngest, it's more, like it's okay, you can tell me something if you think you're going to hurt my feelings.
Right.
I prefer you to talk to me and be real with me
Mm-hmm.
and hurt my feelings if you have to,
Right.
because you're not being disrespectful about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer of, just listening to your children, knowing that they have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
They're human,
Right.
they're people just like we
We
are,
are.
and they're entitled to make mistakes. They're entitled to, you know, do things that we are hypocritical about when it comes to our kids.
That is very true.
And because I'm that way,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, like friends or whatever that I raised, you're talking to your kid like a white woman.
I get that all the time. I
And it's
understand.
just like,
It makes me so upset.
and,
I get
and it's
it.
like, how can you get? Because I know some,
Some white people that
that will tear their kids up.
absolutely.
And so
Yeah, yeah, I know.
and it's like, I think because again, and how, I'm not the only female that was brought up the
No,
way that I was brought up.
not at
I'm
all.
not the only female that didn't have a father figure.
That's right.
I'm not the only female that had the upbringing that I had. Is just I'm not silent anymore.
Exactly.
So instead of staying quiet and
Mm-hmm.
putting the trauma onto my children that I had,
Trauma.
I just
Mm-hmm.
chose to, check myself, do counseling, and I'm here for, better myself for my kids, because I came from a effed up foundation, and I didn't know no better, so I trickled my traumas down to my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of parents will not acknowledge that,
They don't. Yeah.
and especially a lot of women and even men from my generation, we are broken.
Very much so. Yeah, absolutely.
And that has a big thing with how we raise our children and how we are as parents.
Absolutely.
So,
I always say, like, you can never stop healing, but you
of
can
course.
definitely stop hurting. Like, it
Oh,
has
of
to
course.
stop somewhere. So
Of
I'm a firm
course.
believer in everything that you're saying. Like, everybody has like that pivotal moment, like that epiphany, if you will, when they finally say, you know what, I want to change, I have to do better. What moment in time, if you can go back, if you even remember, did it really hit you like enough is enough?
I can honestly tell you it was about 2 years ago.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And I say this and I know it was 2 years ago because prior to that, I went through, I think we all go through this. This is my year. I'm not going to take it no more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, at least for myself, every time that I had those feelings of I'm going to change now, I was doing it or I was saying it because I was hurt from somebody in my past, or may it be the relationship that I was in or someone in my family. I never was saying that for myself.
Right.
And 2 years ago, it was, yeah, no, I want to say it was 2020. I was in a relationship, a long relationship, and it wasn't good. And when I realized that I allowed someone to truly break me outside of my parents and outside of my siblings and my family, that's when I was like, I'm allowing a stranger. Like, this is a person that they're not my family. Like, I let them come into my life.
Right, exactly.
Right. And I believed everything that was said to me. And I was so torn down, worse than when I was incarcerated, worse than when I lost my children, like, and that's when I was just like, enough.
Yeah.
And I did it more for myself. Like, I chose to be selfish, and like in ways that I don't even think my family will ever understand. And I had to do it because God knows where I would be right now.
Exactly.
And then my daughter having my granddaughter.
You're a
Yeah,
grandmother.
she's gonna be 6 years old.
Oh my goodness. You
Oh no, she
absolutely
is.
look even more fabulous now.
That's my girl too.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay.
But yeah, and that's when I just like it was enough, and I went into counseling. I failed at that a few times just because I has always been instilled in me that you don't go to counseling.
Yes.
As
Yes.
minorities, you do not talk
Mm-hmm.
about your business.
Mm-hmm.
You do not,
What goes on in the
he
house stays
stays
in
in
the
the
house.
house,
Yes. Yes.
and it was always, I think we always had that fear of embarrassing our parents,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then you get hit and you get yelled
You
at
get
and
tore up. Yes.
so it was like that I broke that. It was just more like it's okay for me to hurt my parents because how I feel is because of what they did.
Exactly.
It's okay to me to hurt my siblings because how I feel is because if I was let down by them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I just found someone that I could really talk to, and I felt no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And that person was just like, you just got to put yourself first, and that's exactly what I did.
Absolutely. I resonate with everything that you said. I know it. I know what it's like to get, your behind beat, excuse me, parental vision. And I know what it's like to be broken from a relationship to the point where you feel like you're disintegrating day by day. And that part of rebuilding yourself up, it's a lot. And it's a constant thing. I can imagine it was only 2 years ago. So even now you probably have moments where you're like you having those rough days.
Yeah, of course.
And it's hard to get through it.
And more, I think my day, the rough days and the days where it's just like where you might want to give up.
Yeah.
For myself, is just more again because of not wanting to let someone else down. Exactly. Or not wanting to hurt somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it took for me to like again be selfish and
Right.
say like, how about when I got hurt?
What about me? Yeah.
The many times I've been let down, and I'll take it and I eat it, but then I have to go around my kids and my family, and because they're the closest ones to us, we lash out on them.
Yeah.
We give them what they don't deserve. And when you see that, at least for myself, it was like just enough is enough. And my daughter, as a single mother, when you see your child doing things that you did that now aren't okay,
right,
or making the decisions and just their train of thought, and you can't get mad at it because that's the foundation you set for them,
right. So it's like you got to take accountability for it. Absolutely.
Of course. And as much as it hurts, it's like you can't give up on your kids because they're what they're doing is as a parent you got to really step back and like look and say like they're mirroring what they have seen.
Exactly.
So it's
when you have those, do you have actually not when do you have those conversations with your daughter like, hey, I did this? Because I know there are some parents that act like they ain't never do anything, and they act like their walk was so righteous, and it's like, seriously, ma'am, you did it. Just talk about it. So when you see your daughters mimicking anything of your past, how do you approach the conversation? Like, I did this, so maybe you should, or do you just let experience teach them?
So I'm gonna keep it real with you. My daughter, she is 24 years old. She is a mother. She's actually gonna be 25 next month. I have tried plenty of times where I'll say, sometimes I can't even get out the I used to or out, because immediately she says, I'm not you. And I couldn't, at first that used to hurt me, and then it's like, now it's to a point where she's went through the times where she won't talk to me, and before, again, that used to hurt me. Now it's, I can't, I have to allow her to feel what she feels,
right.
I have to let her know that like her feelings and her opinions do matter to me,
right.
And I have to understand that she is an adult, and what she's seen me do for so long, it's not overnight she's going to change.
Right.
So just like the patience that I wish I had from everyone else, all I can do is just show it to her.
That's true.
So it's,
and hopefully eventually she'll mirror it.
Of course. And I always say that eventually when, regardless of your foundation or whatever being bad, or your sorry, Mom.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to cry up here. I get it.
I just, you pray, of course, to
Oh,
hope that
yes.
eventually she'll say, like, I gotta stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a child as well, or you just never know.
That's true. I remember previously, early in the conversation, you talked about how you were raised. So I know that is part of the reason why you went through what you went through. Did you have that hard conversation with your mom? Like, let's sit down and talk about what really happened and why I am the way I am. Because I recently just went through that with my mom, and it was
Mhm.
rough. So I would like to know how you went about yours.
So, at this moment,
Hmm.
I am not speaking to my mother. I'm
Okay.
not because of, I'm angry with her or
Okay.
nothing. It's just, um, not just my mother, but I'm not speaking with a lot of my family. Not because, they're angry at me or I'm angry
Yeah.
with them. It's just more like, people like when people don't take accountability, it's something that before I tolerated.
Yeah.
And now because I'm continuing, every
Hmm.
day I'm facing whatever traumatic has happened into my life. And it's hard. If you're
Yeah.
truly healing yourself, when you're facing something, it's hard.
It's
So
very
it's,
hard.
I've tried to have conversations with my mother and
Hmm.
she's such in denial that,
Oh yeah, I get it.
so yeah. So until I feel that she's ready to have a courageous conversation
Yeah,
with me,
exactly. Yeah.
then you can't force that
Right.
because you're just gonna get them angry and they ain't gonna get nowhere.
That's true.
And so I just,
So right now you're in like an isolative part of your journey, would you say, since you're
of course,
not
yeah,
talking to yeah, okay.
because I will say, for anybody, if you're truly gonna go on a healing, journey, there's gonna be times where you're gonna isolate yourself from everybody, and you're because I ask myself why.
Mm.
But then when I pick that phone up to go call, and you get that feeling like, mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Trust me. And then you just
And
hang it
it's,
right
yep,
back
and
up.
it's
Yeah.
not that you're like, I'm not mad. Like,
Right.
I'm not
Right.
mad. It's just when you're hurt for so long,
Mm-hmm.
you just don't want to accept it anymore. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like until the person's ready to talk about what really needs to be talked about, then you don't force
That's true.
those types of conversations or relationships because it's not going to get anywhere.
It's not gonna get you anywhere.
Nowhere at
I
all.
agree. What got you through, if you don't mind talking about it, what got you through going to prison? Like, I know I'm sure you thought about your children, but were there days where you felt like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through?
It was I met some dope females in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I say that, I'm like, I don't think people understand. When it comes to, you hear someone that they've been in jail,
Mhm.
first thing is judgment. What they do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and
Yeah.
it's and
And it
and then
doesn't
they
even
think
matter.
and they
Yeah.
think you're a bad person,
Yeah.
and they think, you shouldn't be out. You
Mm-hmm.
don't deserve freedom. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something as petty as you just stealing every day because you was trying to eat.
Exactly. I get
And
it. Yeah, I get it. I get
you know,
it.
and me being in, I got incarcerated for sales.
Okay.
That's something that I've always known,
I
as
understand.
and wouldn't change any of my life for anything in the world
Absolutely not.
because I love who I am now.
Beautiful.
And when I got incarcerated, just the fact that you meet people that barely are stripped down from everything,
Mm.
like those, that is about the rawest conversations you'll ever have,
Mm-hmm.
like the rawest people you'll ever meet. And I've met women when I went in there. I remember this one girl, I'm still cool with her now.
Mm-hmm.
She did 21 years.
Wow.
She's home now. But when I met her, she did, I think she was 16 years into her bid.
Jesus.
And I remember because I cried twice in the years that I was in Niantic. And it
Okay.
was just one time I remember was, I don't know why. And it
Mm.
was while I was taking a shower. And the second time was for my oldest son's birthday.
Mm.
And this particular young lady came up to me and she was so, she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm just like, "I don't know." And she starts telling me, because you don't talk about why you're in there.
Okay.
That's something
Okay.
you keep to yourself,
Right. Okay.
And she tells me her story. And I'm listening to this story and I'm like, I know I'm going home. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I got sentenced to 10 years. So
Yes.
I know if it's 3 years, 4 years, 10 years,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going
going
home.
home.
You
Yeah.
know, I know I'm going
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
This lady don't know if she's going home. You know what I mean?
Mm.
This lady already did 16 years in a place where you're stripped from your dignity, you're stripped from everything.
Yeah.
You know, you there's not, you are literally as empty as you allow yourself to be in that place.
Okay.
And to hear this lady like not know if she's gonna go home because she was sentenced to like 60 something years.
Jesus.
And to see her all the time smiling. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And not once, you hear her say like, I want to get out of here. And it wasn't that she was happy there, it was just you accept what's given to you.
Yeah.
And like, so to see somebody like that, who the hell do I think I am to
Yeah.
be with an attitude?
Oh God, I get it.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. Like, how dare I? Yeah.
Or even be like, I'm, just like,
Yeah.
that is when I realized, like, like I'm gonna go home and I gotta get it right because
Yeah.
God knows anything, I could end up back in here
Yeah.
and never see my family again or my children. And if it wasn't for her,
Oh, well, you know what? God bless her, whoever she is. God bless her. Oh my gosh, we're crying here. I love it. We're keeping it real. This is beautiful. Oh my gosh. So when you got out, like, what was like the first thought? You was like, first you went to the halfway house. You told me, right?
Yeah.
And how it goes there. I'm not really familiar too much, but I know you do have to get a job. So what was like your occupation once you got out?
So
I don't know much about it.
So let me I had got sent to a halfway house in Willimantic, which is worse than being in jail.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was worse. And the day that I got sent to that halfway house, I remember I said I want to call my mother. That's I'm home. I just want to call my mother.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I thought halfway house, you get there, you call your family.
Yeah.
Your family's gonna come drop you some clothes off.
Right.
And then you get a visit and you get to maybe in a couple weeks, then you get to go see them in the outside. Like that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I get there and as you had to earn your phone calls, whereas in jail, when you got out, for rec, you called.
Right.
You had 3 phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And here now I had to earn a phone call. You're not allowed to have nothing with sugar in it. You're not, and it's group after group after group. You're not allowed to go outside. You're not, and when they're telling me all these rules, I went and grabbed my little bag because all I had was just a bag of my letters and my paperwork. Left everything else.
Okay.
I grabbed my bag. I said, y'all might as well call that van to come pick me up and send me back to Niantic because I'm not staying here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm not. Like, this is worse than jail.
Okay.
And it was a setup. That's how I felt. And that's what I kept screaming. And I lasted there, I want to say a few months. After doing, yeah. And that was the hardest of 6.5 months of my life. Yeah.
Harder than the 10 years?
No, I had did 4.
You did 4, okay.
Yeah. Halfway house. And then you get 6.5 months. And I was just like, no, I can't do this. Yeah. The halfway house wasn't what I expected to be.
Right.
I came out again to a halfway house. I got sent back for 7 days. And that's when I realized, like, I know, it's like you can't breathe wrong because you're going to get sent back. So it was like I had to immediately, like, tell myself, like, you have to walk straight. You have to do everything straight because not only do I have my children,
right,
out here that truly need me, but anything I do wrong, I'm going to get sent back to jail.
Yeah.
So that it was literally me living in fear until 2019 when I got off special parole.
Oh my goodness.
So I'll tell you, buddy, like the halfway house ain't.
It's no joke.
Yeah, it's worse because it's like you're being watched. You don't.
It's a target on your back.
Yes, and then it's like anything as simple as just going to see your family. If you don't come back on time, you can. Yeah, so it's.
Oh wow! Okay, well, you learn something new every day. The conversations with your children, did you talk to them or did you allow them to visit you while you were away, or
just for a little while? And then I had like asked my mom, and I didn't want them to come up.
Yeah, you didn't want them to see
You
you
know,
like that.
it wasn't that well, at first I was selfish. I wanted my family to come up all the time. I wanted my kids to come up all the time
Okay,
because,
okay.
like, you're away from everybody. So I
Yeah.
was very, very selfish.
Hmm.
But then after that, it was just like, it's not fair to my family to drive that far for 1 hour to then see my mother and my aunt, my sister, and my kids crying. And then I just go back and,
Yep, you do it all over
yeah,
again and
and
put yourself through that pain all over again and them as well. I get it.
yeah, so.
It was a lot.
Mm.
What about your 16-year-old daughter? You didn't tell me much about her. So
No,
she's
it's my boy.
your boy. Okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
your son. He's in school.
yeah, he's in school. He plays football and track.
Really, an
Yeah,
all-star.
he's a good boy, but he's like I every day it's a kind of like I'm always asking like you good, you
Mm,
good, you good, and as
yeah.
annoying as I know it is to him, it's just more. I do that with all of them every time I talk to them or see them. It's just more because I'm waiting for them to have that conversation with me, and I'm ready. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready. Yeah, but I know they're not, and
Hmm.
so but I'm just waiting. But until for what they've been through with me, they're
Hmm.
good kids.
Yeah.
They're good kids.
And I swear, you don't look like anything that you've been through. Like you are
Thank you.
literally like
Thank
a
you.
walking miracle, a walking earth angel. And
Thank
I know
you.
women all over are gonna watch this and they're literally gonna resonate with everything that you said, everything that you've been through, the woman
Of
that you
course.
turned into. Like literally, minus the part about you going to prison, which I definitely like.
A lot of people don't even
You
know
can't even
until I
tell,
say it.
but like
Yeah.
seriously, like everything you said definitely resonates with me. I know all about the generational curses and the
Hmm.
trauma and the strain it must have on your mental health. So I gotta give you your flowers while
Thank
you're
you.
here to smell them.
Thank
You know
you.
what I mean?
Thank you.
Mike, you're very welcome. One more question I had for you before we wrap it up.
Mhm.
What do you think makes a good mom? Give me 5 words,
5 words.
or a good parent in general.
Understanding,
Mm-hmm.
uh, communication,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to listen. Like
Yes.
not hear, but you really have to listen.
Mm.
And I think that's where all parents we fail is we're just hearing our kids, we're not listening to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mental strength is one thing that I stress to be a great parent. You truly like you're just taking care of your mental
Yeah.
and just love, man.
Yeah, love does
Yeah,
conquer all.
love and support.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, everything in life should be surrounded by love
Of course,
and everything around that love should be set up to support
of
that. I
course,
agree
of
with that
course.
100%. And I did want to sneak one more question in if you can go back in time and talk to your younger
Mm.
self. I just want to
Yeah,
know I know what I would say. So what
yeah.
would you say to your younger self?
Like you're gonna be all right.
Yes, I said the same thing the other day. I was like, if I could talk to young
You're gonna
Tiana,
be all
it's gonna
right.
be okay. Oh my gosh, this is such a fulfilling interview. I adore you already. I
Thank you,
swear I
thank you,
do.
thank you.
I thank you so much for coming to visit, and I hope you come back again. And my gosh,
Yeah,
you're a beautiful human being. I swear,
thank
I
you.
adore you. That's a wrap for the
Ooh,
Parental
I'm tired.
Podcast. Thank you so much. We laughed, we cried, and once again, Wisdom Otero. She's a beautiful human being, and see you soon. Bye bye.